My bow and arrows out the back. I'd like you to imagine this scene. It's summertime in Ireland, so it's raining. I'm 18 years old, and I'm standing in the hallway of my house because the postman's just delivered a letter. In my hand, I hold a piece of paper that says I do not have a place in university. Fast forward 24 hours, and I hold in my hand a piece of paper that says, "Congratulations, you've got a place in university." What changed? My attitude. You see, many things are going to happen in your life, and a whole lot aren't. The difference between the two lies in the stories that we tell ourselves. Because whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're probably right. Whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're probably right. In those situations, people say, think positively. If you believe, you will receive. Focus on your goal. I don't know about you. That's not enough for me. I want to know what's going to happen psychologically and neurologically in my mind that's going to make a difference. I want to know that I'm in control. I didn't know then what I know today. It's taken me 13 years of research of human behavior and understanding psychology to make sense of those 24 hours. I'm going to explain to you what happened between the first letter and the second letter. When I do that, I'm going to share 3 simple but important pieces of information that have made a difference to me in my life, in the hope that they can make a difference to you in yours. I read the letter over and over again. I panicked. I cried. What was I going to do? Well, let's examine the facts. I'm 18 years old. I feel like a failure. And I'm Irish. I went out and got completely trashed. That's Irish for very, very drunk. The next morning, I lay on the sofa with a massive hangover, feeling sorry for myself, with just thoughts of self-loathing and self-doubt. My mum burst into the living room. "Right, get your coat, get in the car, we're going." "What? Where? Why? No. We're going to the university. We're going to speak to someone about this situation." "Oh my God, no way. I'm not going. How embarrassing. You'll have to drag me." She practically did. She did more than that, though. She worked on my mind. You see, the whole drive, all I was saying to myself was, "You're not good enough. You don't deserve this. They're going to laugh at you. You should have worked harder." It's normal. We've all experienced it. It's called mind chatter. But just because you think a thought, it doesn't make it a fact. Have you ever paid attention to the things that you say to yourself? We can be pretty mean. If you were to say what you say to yourself to somebody else, they'd punch you in the face. They would. You wouldn't take it from them. They wouldn't take it from you. But you take it from yourself. Why is that? Well, it's because of the negativity bias. We are pre-programmed to pay more attention to the negative things in life than the positive things in life. Why? Because that's what keeps us alive. It's more important to focus on the saber-toothed tiger than the pot of honey, because that's a threat. It's a survival mechanism. But come on, we don't have those sorts of threats anymore. More than likely, it's a letter from university or a text message from your boss asking where you are. But the same thing happens. Our fear center, our amygdala, kicks in, shoots a message to your prefrontal cortex saying, panic, you're in trouble. But we have the ability to send a message from our prefrontal cortex back to our amygdala saying, shh, it's okay. I've got this. It's under control. Just like we exercise the muscles in our body at the gym, we need to exercise the circuitry in our mind. Once you know about the negativity bias, you need to self-soothe and offset it. That's what my mum did for me in the car. She reminded me that I was so passionate about this subject, psychology, that I was never good at exams. Why should a 2-hour test dictate the rest of my life? That I deserve to speak to someone about my future. She gave me the positive version of the story that in that moment I couldn't give myself. The second thing my mum did for me was point out the obvious. I had the biggest hangover ever. Hangover of champions. You don't think it matters, but it does. The context of the situation. If you've got a hangover, for example, if you're tired, if you're sick, if you're hungry, if you're in a bad mood, all of these things impact how you perceive the world around you. Hangry, who's heard of hangry? Where hunger meets anger. Even if you haven't heard the expression, you've been there when you're hungry and someone's talking and they're really annoying you. Well, I thought it was a bit of a myth. It turns out they've got evidence to prove it. They studied judges as they were assessing applications for parole in Israel. You were significantly more likely to get granted parole, so let out of jail early, if your application had been seen just after the judge had eaten. And significantly least likely to get granted if it was just before they'd eaten when they were hungry. Wow, that's scary. And music psychologists have demonstrated the impact that music can have on your ability to perceive facial expressions. Lucas demonstrated this perfectly in his last talk. If you hear happy music, you're influenced to perceive a facial expression as happy. Sad music, sad. In these tests, it was the same facial expression. It was the same person, and the expression was neutral. If you take music as an analogy for your mood, you can see how your mood can influence how you perceive the world around you. So as emotions can influence, as moods can influence how you feel, it can also impact your decisions. This is important. Pay attention to the situation, because once you're aware of it, you can nullify the effects. That's what my mum did for me and helped me adjust for it, like a golfer would adjust for the wind. The third thing she did for me was focus my attention on what mattered. Before I go further, let's have a little demonstration. Can I get the house lights up, please, at the back? Great. I would like you to look around you. You've got 5 seconds and count as many red things that you can see. Okay, house lights down, please. I'd like you all to close your eyes. Close your eyes. Now tell me, how many blue things were there? Okay, you can't. That was unfair. But the message remains the same. When you focus your attention on something, you immediately ignore and delete lots of other information. There's a part of your brain that's responsible for that. It's called the reticular activating system. It has many roles, but one of which is focusing your attention. You've all experienced it when you've decided you want to buy a new car, and suddenly it's the only car you see in the road. It's on the advertisement, your friends are talking about it. It's a sign, right? Wrong. It's your reticular activating system. Now, that's fine if it's just about your shopping intentions. But guess what programs your reticular activator system? What to focus on. It's your mind chatter. It's the stories that we tell ourselves. If you consider, at any given second, we are bombarded with between 40 million and 110 million bits of data per second. At a subconscious level, we can only consciously process 40 bits of data. 40 million bits of data, 40 bits of data at a conscious level. So your reticular activating system is deciding what to raise to your consciousness. If you're telling yourself that you're a bad driver, that you're unlucky, that you're not good enough, you don't deserve a place in university, it will go off and find all of the evidence to present to you at a conscious level. Now, the truth is, evidence will exist for both sides of the argument. You're going to tell yourself stories anyway, so why not tell yourself the good ones and get the beneficial evidence presented to you? As I stood in the dean's office, I, 2 hours previously, had not been prepared to fight for my future. But my negativity bias had been reset. I'd adjusted for the context of the situation, my hangover and my fear. And I'd focused on what was important, the fact that I really deserved a place in university. I spoke with the dean for 20 minutes, and then she left the room. When she returned, she slipped a piece of paper in front of me. The only word I read was congratulations, and I burst into tears. Through my tears, I managed to ask her, but why? And she said, of all of the people who are trying to get a place here, you're the only one of a sea of names who came to speak to me. You put a face to a name, and that made a difference. Wow. Because if I had have listened to my mind chatter and the stories I was telling myself, I'd still be lying on that sofa with a hangover. I learned many things that day, that just because you think a thought, it doesn't make it a fact. That we control our thoughts don't control us, but we often act like it's the other way around. That if your mind chatter goes unchecked, that it can stop you from doing the things that you want in life. Now, I can't guarantee you that if you apply these 3 things to your thinking, that you'll get everything you want in life. But I can guarantee you that you will at least have the confidence and potentially the bravery to try. Because whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're probably right.